Elite
Training Institute. My name is Grace, and I'm here with
Meow.
And today's guest is a rising voice in the digital space, blending faith, entrepreneurship, and content strategy into a powerful mission. Through building her Instagram to over 60,000 followers, she's now helping creators and businesses turn their social media into platforms that not only grow, but using social media to generate capital. Please put your hands together and welcome Abigail Daniela.
Where'd you find all that information?
Oh, dude, you're all over the ether, so it's pretty easy to find. But we're overjoyed to have you here. I think it's good to finally get you in the chair. It's been a while since I have seen you. 4 years. For those of you that don't know, I actually went to high school with Abigail, and now she's doing so many amazing things. So it's just amazing to have her in the chair. I kind of want to start the conversation like, what happened to you after high school? Because I know we were dealing with COVID. So kind of like, tell me a little bit about that journey that led you to where you are right now.
Well, it goes way before high school, but we'll start in high school. So yeah, we met at LVA. I left for 2 years to be homeschooled. I didn't graduate from there.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I was homeschooled in middle school, and then I went to LVA, and I was thinking about how we weren't like always learning while we were there. There was like a lot of classwork, and then you have lunch and all those things. So I kind of knew like the direction that I wanted my life to go in. So I just decided to go back to like online schooling because I saw how valuable my time was, and I didn't feel like, if the purpose of school was to learn, I wasn't learning all the time, and I could utilize that time where I'm not learning elsewhere. So I started my photography business when I was 16, and then COVID hit, and that was really when I was like, okay, I'm all in. And this is crazy because right before COVID hit, I launched my business literally like a week before.
Wow.
And then everything shut down, and I was like, okay, for sure. Yeah. So I worked hard on my website and everything, and then it shut down. So I started to get into more like self-portraits and learning how to work by myself and not necessarily need to go out and take pictures of someone. So that was where it really all started. And from there, I did an internship at my church after I graduated, and I was a part of the creative team. So I learned how to, delegate tasks and work with the team, and get my reps in, and understand, how do I take something that really never changes, but see it from a different perspective, and which is the worship experience. How my church works is, we have the stage and the whole band and everything. So I had to learn how to get creative, and it forced me to not make excuses but always come up with solutions.
Right.
And that has helped me with my content creation journey. Do you want me to get to where that started, or do you want me to pause there?
I think we can pause there because we're definitely going to reach that beat. But I think the most interesting thing to me as well, and John, if you wouldn't mind shutting the door whenever you get a chance, just so we can shut the door. But because we're all close in age, you should be 22, right? 22, yeah, 22. I'm 21, she's 22. I feel what is that like for you with your parents to kind of be I'm not going the traditional route of going to school, but just kind of making your own business, especially at such a young age? What were those conversations like and the pressure with it?
Yeah, not easy. So right in between graduating and then starting this internship, I didn't know I was going to do the internship. That wasn't in my plans. I knew I didn't want to go to school. My parents wanted me to go to school. So I signed up for classes at CSN, and it was the week before the first payment was due, and I just decided I'm not going to school. So who did I tell first? I told my dad, and how my dad is it'll affect him, but he won't really say it or show it. So I told him, and I knew it mattered most to him for me to go to school, but I just sat down with him. I was like, Dad, I don't want to do college, and I just want to work on my business. And at the time, I was working somewhere, so I did my business. I was not going to school. Praise God. I was going to work and then going to start school. And I just told him this is not what I want to do, and I am going to just take myself out of all of these classes. And he didn't say much, but he was like, if that's what you want, then that's what we'll do. And then I told my mom, and that was a really hard conversation because she had a lot to say. So one parent didn't say anything, the other parent said everything. And all my life it was like, you're gonna go to school, you're gonna get a degree, and it was a lot of pressure, but it was never something I wanted to do. So I did feel like in that moment I disappointed my parents by not following what they wanted me to do, but I knew, because God gave me, I guess I skipped that part, but God gave me a vision in 2020 of what I would be doing, and I held on to that word, even if nobody understood it, if it didn't make any sense. It was loud and clear, and regardless of what my parents thought or what leaders thought, I knew what God had told me, and His voice matters most. So I said yes to whatever God wanted me to do, which I didn't know it was that internship when I had told my parents. And I went to a young adult social night that we had at it was through my church. I forgot what the roller skate rink was, but it's one here in Vegas. And the youth pastor was like, "Hey, why don't you think about doing the school program? It's 9 months. If you're just working, why not dedicate the 9 months?" So I was like, okay. And I told my parents that's what I was doing, and they were on board for that. Yeah.
Oh, well, you talked a little bit about your faith. I read in your Instagram bio that it says, no one is coming to save you. Jesus is the only way. And I can see how, getting that vision could be, the moment that cemented it for you. Mm-hmm. How has that, changed you in your path? You talked about talking to your parents. I can imagine how scary that is, because I have also always been instilled that you will be going to college. Yeah. And thankfully it is my way, but even I have siblings that I'm maybe that's not their way. Yeah. How did that help you maybe know where you were going or direct you?
Yeah, well, I didn't really know. Everyone has their own path, and I just knew that was mine. I wasn't supposed to go to school, and specifically that vision that God gave me it was during COVID, and one night I used to play the piano for my worship team. And it's for some reason in my mind, those were the only two options for my future. Either play on my worship team and travel in the future, how these other artists do, or that's why I went to LVA for piano. Or what was I gonna say? Or do the creative photography stuff. So I remember I prayed and I was like, God, I'm gonna give you two options, which I don't recommend everyone doing this. You shouldn't give God options like that. But I was like, I'm gonna give you two options, but it's because I felt very strongly that that's what He wanted me to pick. And I was like, you're gonna have to pick for me, because I was going to leave the worship team to pursue what I was doing. So I prayed, and all of a sudden I fell into a trance, and I knew I didn't fall asleep because the lights were on, and I didn't fall asleep with the lights on. So I fell into a trance, and I got just a vision, literally images flashing in my mind of in studios with cameras, behind the camera. So it was just so clear, I couldn't deny that was God. And I don't know, I didn't think it was a coincidence, because I was the lights are on when I woke up. So the plan hasn't been laid out for me. I just know that there's a next step that I have to take, and I don't always know what that is, but when that comes, it's clear, I would say. I don't always have peace about it, because it's scary when certain things come our way, but I think that's why it's super important to include God in everything that you do, because you don't know what's coming next. Hopefully that answered your question.
I was really excited to sit down and speak to you about your faith as well. I should also shout out Church LV, because we both got to attend a service there last Sunday or the Sunday before. And it was really, really cool just seeing churches while we're home. But as a young person, being 22 years old and having that weight and understanding of faith and steering through the temptations of the world, how are you handling that as well? Especially with somebody in your position too, to be able to have so many opportunities to do anything.
Yeah. That's a great question. I would say, so I grew up Christian. So a lot of the Christian values, they were just innate in me. But but it's funny because I don't really get like weird opportunities from people. They just don't come my way, and I think the reason that is because I'm so bold with the statement that I have in my bio that it turns away a lot of people who don't want to work with a Christian or don't want to work with someone that has faith. But surprisingly, like I haven't gotten any weird inquiries. But I would say because you mentioned temptation, where the temptation comes in is, at a young age when I don't know if I call myself successful, but at a young age when you get the things that you wanted and you thought would take a while, I think the temptation is things. Like looking at, okay, well I have money now and I have freedom now, so I can, go buy this or go buy that or go do that, or I have access to all these things. And I think that's where, for me personally, like the temptation comes in, and God always reminds me, like these things are temporary. And I was literally just talking to him about it last night, like these things will pass away, but it's people that we get to bring to heaven with us. We don't get to take money, we don't get to take houses, we don't get to take cars, right? I said money. It's people. So that kind of helps me refocus on who I'm helping, the people that I'm working, one-on-one with or in a group setting, people that DM me that talk about Jesus, or people that have gone to like the church and they see my videos. So he has to redirect me in that, because I think just as humans we're so easily consumed by these things, but they're not eternal.
Right.
Well, I think it's awesome how faith-driven you are, because I also consider I try to be right, but it is hard, and it is hard to know like what God's path is for you, but it's also like good to remember that like if God does have a path for you and whatever plan God has for you, nobody else can take away, and you are clearly like moving in a way that's intentional, and so you're like planting that seed like in others, and that I think that's so awesome. I think that's really, really cool. Have you done a lot of things like with your church?
I have in the past.
Okay.
So that where I did the internship, that was where I was getting like a lot of my reps in. But I think the main thing was I struggled with, do I use my creative giftings for church, like on staff, or do I do my own thing, quote unquote, do my own thing? And for those 2 years that I did that internship, that was a back and forth in my mind, because I thought like God gave me this gift, so I have to use it at the church for the church. And I even tried to, while I was there, like putting myself in the mindset as if I worked here, this is what it would be like. And is this really, am I graced for it? Like, is God's hand really on this? And the year that I graduated, a week before we graduated, they added a third year. And that third year is dedicated to those who want to work for a church. You're, it was an internship, but the first 2 years you pay to be a part of it. And then the last third year, you get paid. So you're treated as staff. And I kind of had like a last minute decision to make, because I was about to end in 2 weeks and I had to make a decision. And I just didn't feel that that's where God was leading me. I just, like, with the Holy Spirit and everything, I just didn't feel like that's where He wanted me to go. So I just knew that I wasn't supposed to be on staff. So when we have like conferences or there's a lot going on, I'll be like, hey, like, do you guys need help or anything? But the thing I had to come to terms with is like, just because I don't work for a church doesn't mean I'm not doing ministry. And I think oftentimes if you're a believer and you don't use your gifting in the church, then you could think you're not doing God's work. But it's funny because the Bible talks about how the people that are attending the church and those that work on staff are there to equip the people to go into the world. And that is how I feel when I go to church. I am equipped, but to get encouraged, because I'm going into the world and impacting people that I may would never impact if I worked here on staff. So I think both of them have their own place, and I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and when it's time for them to need help, absolutely, all hands on deck.
I feel like that's almost in a sense like the battle, because especially in adult life, as we kind of like get more freedoms within our day-to-day, finding out where you fit God specifically, and especially on that bigger scale of the church, and like investing in that. Because I think, well, with my like spiritual journey as well, because I've gotten to go to like church services, like Bible studies with her on Fridays, and then trying to also like make it to church on Sunday. Just finding those little ways to like make sure I'm still present and within the Word, while also like going through like the work week, for example. And then I feel like as you might get more successful, or even not even just successful, get more tired, being able to show up for God in those moments, because you know, like at 8 a.m. on a Sunday, or even like 7:30 on a Friday, 7:30 at night on a Friday, like you're like, do I want to be there? Well, the answer is like yes. You just have to kind of like fight for that like presence, I guess, in a sense too.
Yeah.
I guess we could like shift gears here as well and talk a little bit about like your business ventures. Cause I know you do coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what kind of like led you to the mindset of like, okay, I understand this, now I want to teach others?
Yeah, great question. So before I started coaching people, I'm the agency. I had a social media agency, just me. So I didn't know if you would consider that an agency, but that's what I called it.
Yeah, when you're at that level, whatever it is, like.
It was just me though. So what I did, and this kind of goes into like how I grew my following and everything, but I was working for a creator here in Vegas, and I knew that our time was going to be short. It was. So probably about a month before we stopped working together, how do I know this? Because God was just telling me, like, hey, you got to prepare, because things are about to shift. And I could feel it like in our relationship with the person I was working with. And I was like, okay, I know I'm good with the camera, like I know how to make things look good, so what can I do with this? And I saw an ad for a guy who coaches people on how to have a video agency, like a social media agency. So I joined his program, and there's so many like God moments as I look back. And this was just last year, which is insane. But I joined his program and I started posting a couple of videos, because the rule was post like 4 to 6 videos, run an ad, and then you'll get clients. And you do that same thing for them. So I remember I think I spent like $50 on ads. That's like nothing. And within 2 weeks, I got my first client, which was super dope. And the day before my $50 was gonna run out, I got the client. So I was like, what are we gonna do? Like, I don't have money for that. Like, so I got the client, which was cool. So from there, I was servicing business owners here in Las Vegas, creating their content, strategy, filming, editing, posting, the whole thing. And I was like, wait, I have, like 1,000 followers. So how am I going to provide this service for people if I haven't even done it for myself? So no matter how much I believe in myself, I didn't have the proof. So I joined another coaching program, and in this program, all I did was join the Q&A calls, and I had the person look at my video and tell me everything that was wrong with it, why it wasn't performing well. So I did that a couple times, and I started to recognize the pattern. So I was like, cool. Now let me apply all of this to my own page so I have proof for these business owners. Mm-hmm. Just so I can get more clients and, see what happens. So the goal was, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So the goal was 10,000 followers. Like, I'm just going to hit 10,000 and I'll be good. Like, I'll just service these clients and that's it. So a couple weeks goes by, literally like 3 weeks goes by, and I was already at 10,000. So I was like, okay, this is fun. Like, let's keep the momentum going. So literally in 9 months, from 1,700 followers to over 60,000. And along the process, I found that I didn't like servicing people in person, just because a lot of people are like nitpicky when it comes to aesthetics and stuff like that. I was like, why don't I just take what I've learned and I can share this with more people by coaching them? And that's how I started?
I was about to speak, but I'm like a
Yeah.
D1 yapper. They know that. But that was just so interesting to me in that story because I heard you talk about courses and like joining courses. I know there's like a really big stigmatism against courses, I feel, just because like, at least in the modern day, like I'm gonna name drop somebody. I think of like Andrew Tate. Like he has a course where he's like teaching you, I think, how to be a man and like how to make money as a man or something like that. So I feel like him kind of being the front runner of like courses and like even like there's like drop shipping courses and things like that, but I often hear people saying like, oh, that's not real, that's not gonna like benefit you. So the fact that that's like almost a key part of your story, I think that's really cool because you're the first person I've met as well that like has kind of partook in these courses and like had those results. So that's really interesting. Do you ever like feel like you have to kind of combat that, like people thinking like, oh, this isn't real, it's not gonna benefit me, and like if so, how do you do that? Like how do you show like this is real?
I really think it's the individual. From a business standpoint, you know, you gotta have testimonials and how this is gonna benefit you and like all that stuff so they can see like this is legit. But when someone wants something, they're gonna do it. So I know for me, I think the reason why I had success with it was because I was going to get my result no matter what. And that was the mindset that I had. So I think people buy courses and expect it to be handed to them, and that's not how it works. Like you have to practice it and you have to do it over and over again. And even when you are getting coached, because there's the courses and then there's a course with the coach and then there's one-on-ones, right? So even with coaching, from what I've experienced with helping others, even if the material is there and I'm there, they still have to do it. They have to want it enough, and I can't make that person want it that much. So my goal is the person that is like similar to me with that drive, I want them to really resonate with my content. So that's what I focus on when I'm making content. But I think it has to do with the individual. You have to want it enough.
I feel like you can help anyone as much. Like you can give them all the resources, but you have to be the one to like push yourself, I thought it was really interesting that you talked to people and heard like, I guess all of the, like you said, the bad of the business and like what they saw wasn't working. We just went to a panel where a guy was talking about that and how he uses other business people and like AI and stuff to tell him like what is wrong with the business, and that is so important because like you said, you weren't seeing like what you needed to see, and I feel like that pushed you to the next step. Do you think it did? I guess seeing like what the wrong was, I guess.
Yeah, like with the guy that I was asking, like what's wrong. Wait, hold on. Can you restate that question?
Kind of like just. Do you think it's important to see and like note with yourself what I guess like what you need to work on with your business to make it flourish that much more,
Oh yeah. I think anyone that wants to progress in anything, whether that's, I don't know, with like cooking or their business, or how much they know about the Bible, like I feel like you have to invest in yourself, whether that's through time or money or both. But I think it's good to have somebody that's done it before helping you with anything. Because, you'll get there eventually. Like, if I had the drive, right? And I could have done it on my own, but I chose to invest. And because of that investment, that person's done it already. So I just compare the two, and now I can just fly. So, yeah, I think you do need to know what's wrong in order to change that. And that's what I do with like people in my program. I tell them what's good first, what they're good at, compassion, So I tell them what's good, and then I tell them what's wrong. But I tell them what's good, and then I tell them what's wrong, and what needs to be improved on. Because if you just have someone like praising you in your corner always, that's great. But how are you ever going to improve if there's no one there to help you?
Right. Instant gratification is something that kills, I think, a lot of dreams because like people might have good ideas, they might be genuinely great ideas, and then when they go out into the world and try to like materialize it, when it doesn't take on immediately, they just give up. And I wonder how many like multi-million, billion-dollar companies like are out there that we will never see because of that. Something as well, like you're part of the Stand for Creators thing, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that and what that is?
Yeah, I love Stand Story. Anyone that wants to like create digital products, host a course, scheduling calls, and it just looks clean and simple, and they want a lot of customer support, I do recommend SandStore. So that's what I use. That's where I put like all my digital products. It's almost like a Linktree, but a lot better. So Linktree is just click this link and I'll redirect you. SandStore can do that, but you can actually put your course on the page, and then they can check out there. So you can collect emails, you can send emails out through there. So you really don't need any other platform. So that's what I use.
That's like the hub for your digital business, basically. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but for like small things, like little I don't know, like $100 stuff or like something for free that I would give, I would put it there. But as far as people like working one-on-one with me, I do it
Differently. All right. That's cool. You got the chance to go out of the country this summer, right? To like Mexico, I think.
I went to Mexico.
Mexico. How was that?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a vacation, and I got tan, and I still have tan lines from that trip.
I got to go on a cruise this summer. I made it out to the Dominican Republic. It was really,
Nice.
yeah, it was really
For
cool
how
to be on the island. We were only there for like 8 hours, because the way Carnival does it, like, 'cause it was different destinations. It was Dominican Republic, Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. And so like you dock like early in the morning and then you leave really late at night. So you just gotta like run
Do
around.
your thing.
Yeah, it was me and my mom too. So it was really cool. I guess the last thing we wanted to talk about was what was next.
Yeah, what do you see, what direction do you see yourself going? What steps do you want to have like next for your career, personal, maybe religion?
Yes. Okay, I like this question. So right now, I do help people build their personal brand, but before I was like really recently helping business owners. So now I am like full on moving into the personal branding route, which is pretty much the exact same thing as a business. People just put them in 2 different categories. So I'm starting to take on some like one-on-one clients that I work with, because I've never worked with people one-on-one because I was scared. I always did group coaching. So now I'm just doing one-on-ones. I have a couple people, but I've been like grabbing people to go into the one-on-ones through my audience, so I haven't really promoted anything. So that's coming up, so I'm about to launch that. It's called the Booked and Branded Method. So pretty much like how I have consistent leads and how I keep my calendar booked and people know my brand and all that stuff. So I teach them all of that in the method. So you can work with me one-on-one, or you could just get the course and do the Q&A with me. But like, you want long-term or you just want like this year?
All of it.
All of it.
Long
long
term,
term,
yeah. I mean, yeah, the goal, I love having my business, but the goal is like, I just want to be a mom. So this is what I do now until that time comes to prepare for that. You know, I want to be able to really steward my family well and not have to like go and work and miss time with my kids, because, you know, I gotta focus on making money. So the goal is to like be great now and collect and invest now, so that when that time comes, I don't have to like try so hard, you know, and I'm able to do things more so on autopilot. Like what feels difficult now, I want it to be very easy in the future. That way, you know, I have a couple clients I work with, you know, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 throughout the week, but I still have time to be with my children, my family, because like I said, you can't take money, you can't take houses, you can't take cars, you can only take people, and I want to make sure that I steward the people that God gives me.
Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is a beautiful answer. I think like I was watching a video of you on our church LV panel, just like as a part of like the research. You are so similar to our boss, and
Oh, really?
one thing that I have seen is just like when you mix, because it's interesting because I feel like that doesn't happen often, but mixing kind of religion and business, I think it works well when done right, and so I definitely see you taking what you're doing to the moon for sure. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to.
No, I just think it's awesome. Like I said, it's really good to see good people and faith-driven people doing what they love. And I just hope that you stay on this path that God has given you. And of course, lots of success. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, definitely. thank you guys for watching TQETI Live from the inside of the Tech Queen Elite Training Institute. We will see you on the next one. Thank you.
Bye.